It's a sandbox. It's a soapbox. It's Fanbox.
Well, hey there, sugar. This here's Lenore Zan, and you're watching Fandoms.
And welcome to another episode of Fandoms. We are back, I think, with a regularly scheduled program, but we'll see how it goes. But again, this is Fandoms brought to you by It's Fanbox. If you haven't already, go check out itsfanbox.com. We are slowly starting to get into production of producing different posts, not necessarily news, but reviews and different content regarding the things that you love. And if you are interested in making content, maybe for It's Fanbox, reach out to us at itsfanbox@gmail.com. Before we get started, before I bring Will in, just in case he has anything to do, because tonight's a big night for him, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. I just want to remind you guys, I haven't been able to do this for a while, but if you are looking for an opportunity to dive into, let's say, DC Comics, especially when it comes to the comic book stories of Batman, and you don't know where to start, I want to recommend to you tonight Fan Home. Fan Home is doing a DC Comics The Legend of Batman collection. They are in these beautiful, really sturdy hardback books, and there are different ones that come every month. This last month, I was able to get The Court of Owls and The Dark Knight Returns, which is a comic book that I've actually been wanting to read for a while. Don't judge me because I haven't. But these come out every single month. And what is really cool about these is the spines. After you get the full collection, these spines will line up and will actually make a beautiful panoramic image on the back covers or on these covers for your shelf to kind of just have a little bit of extra zest. On top of that, you will get free gifts throughout. This month, I was able to get a number of really cool prints. This Batman and Robin. I also have got this one that's pretty cool. And then I think my favorite of the three is this one here. And so they're easily framed. There are other things that you can get, kind of like mugs and other stuff. But if you were interested, check out fanhome.com. No relation to Fanbox. Fanhome.com. You'll find the Legend of Batman series, as well as a bunch of other stuff on there, as well as like an ET kit, Iron Man kit. There's also mini Marvel Museum like props, like the Captain America shield and other stuff like that, and so much more to come. So check them out. And with that, let's go ahead and bring Will on. Will, welcome to the show.
Greetings, salutations. How are you, good sir?
Thank you. And I see you brought someone with you.
Well, I just wanted to make sure we had somebody close to, an insider that would be able to contribute some information, get us some clarity about what's going on in the world right now.
That is very true. But before we get into that, let's just go ahead and say this real quick. Will, something very special is happening this evening. Would you like to care to elaborate?
Yes, my colonoscopy. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. You know what? There's not much to elaborate on because it's just a testimony to grit, determination, stupidity. And that's that tonight we're going to be celebrating the 400, which is interesting when you think about it. Because really what we're doing is we're celebrating 399 previous episodes. We can't celebrate the 400th episode. It's happening under our feet as we're standing there on the show. So, but we're celebrating the fact that we've got to 400 episodes of Netheads tonight. And in one of the most interesting things I think possible, we're finally going to have the three of us in one room.
Yes.
And it's okay in a three-way. All right, buddy. Don't worry about it.
No, and I will be honest. So there's been a topic of conversation within my household since the last episode of Netheads when we were talking about this happening. And I'm going to be very honest with you, because last episode I said it's going to be nice, and then we'll find out who is your favorite. And of course, without even skipping a beat, without even taking a breath, you just came out and said Trent, which is the only correct answer, honestly. I was kind of joking with it, but I love the fact that you did that. But I'm going to be honest with you. You had a really cool experience last night because you were producing Batman Beyond.
Yes.
So you were producing the show, and of course, Kevin Smith shouted out the episode for tonight. And of course, if you look on social media, it's great. But I noticed something. I noticed something. Will, you acted like I do when I'm talking to you, and I felt good about that. Like you were a little bit more, giddy than normal, and the hand movement was more and the fact that you didn't catch on to the fact that he was trying to upsell the episode, like I'm going, you know what? Will's having a Tony moment. So I appreciated that
Oh,
so
I'm
much.
I'm sorry. Actually, I'm kind of sorry to hear you say it that way. And I only say that because yes, I'm a little more humbled in that environment. But
Mhm.
much in the if you want to think of it in the way of football, and I mean real football, not soccer football. Well, I mean, I do mean soccer, but not soccer. I mean football. They have like all those different leagues, right? Because I
Mhm.
don't want to say we're in the minors and they're in the majors, because the hell with baseball in my book.
Mhm.
But there's different leagues. Okay, so there's like the championship league, the premier league, or what. And I don't know what they are. I don't know how they rank up because I don't really look at the sports ball. But what I just like to think of it is that we are, our club is like here, and then they're in a further up league, so you're just a little more humble. So yeah, I get quite different in that environment, but it's also, more importantly, not my show, where every single audience member doesn't give two shits about who I am. Okay, so
Yeah, they
it's
actually
like,
were giving you crap last week, weren't they?
oh man, yeah. Last week there was, I can't even remember their screen name, but which is testimony to what I said. Because look, man, if you're gonna mess with somebody in the room and they're the moderator, expect potential consequences.
Mhm.
And if you're just flat out being mean, if I'm not being mean back, expect consequences. And there had been an exchange with this person, and I was just like giving them back kindness or mild sarcasm.
Mhm.
And they said something about they I'd be thinking about them as my tears hit the pillow, I believe was their quote. And
Yeah.
I just said, dude, I won't remember you in 48 hours. And then I kicked him out of the chat for 24 of those
Yeah.
48. And to the
Yeah.
testimony, I can't remember what their screen name is, but yeah. So it's a totally different thing. Now, Tony,
Mhm.
this is your show. If
Yeah.
anything, the dynamic should be switched, right?
Yeah,
Which is the
but
fact that I should be humbled in your space.
here's
So,
the thing, Will.
okay.
You have to
Yeah.
understand this.
Yeah.
So first of all,
Yeah.
if you watch me on TikTok and you see me in lives, there's one thing that's very obvious.
Yeah.
I will go through multiple versions of a video that before I ever release it to TikTok. I have no choice when it comes to being on lives. And so where I'm more polished and I am much clearer with my words in that maybe 60-second video, I fumble over myself and I get excited because I don't know what it was. Maybe because of the pandemic, I was just happy to talk to people. And, we've become friends online. And I'll be honest with you, I showed the video to a coworker today. And what was really funny was when I first went to my new job, um, the one of the girls there kept looking at me. She's like, I know you from somewhere. I'm like, oh, really?
Oh no.
So we were talking, and one of my other coworkers mentions we were talking about TikTok, and she goes, "That's what I know you from. I've seen your videos on my FYP." And I'm like, "Hey, that's great. That's awesome." And then she followed me. So she saw me, she'd seen my videos, wasn't good enough to follow, but now that we're in the office, it would be awkward. But
Okay,
I showed her
but
the video. I showed her the video of you with Kevin Smith,
yeah,
promoting the show tonight.
yeah.
And she goes, "Wait, wait, wait. You know Kevin Smith?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I know the guy who knows Kevin Smith." And she goes, "That's amazing." And I'm like, "It's only because of the internet that
Yes.
your claim to fame can be that you know the guy who knows the guy."
Yes.
I'm okay with
Exactly.
that.
The moment, if you guys are wondering what we're referring to, last night, Fat Man Beyond, episode 442, it's live.
Mhm.
In like the last 5 minutes of the episode. Well, actually, you know what? Just hit any of my socials as well, and you'll see
It's
me
everywhere.
pouring the clip out in preparation for tonight's episode of 400.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, if I can tag them, that means an algorithm might pick it up, show it to other people, because I'm still an attention whore. And so the biggest gift that happened actually wasn't from Kevin Smith, because he's bound to thank everybody involved with the show at the end of the night.
Mhm.
That's what he does. The biggest blessing came from the man who I also deeply respect, Mark Bernardin, because
Mhm.
he just dropped in with, yeah, he even put off doing the 400th episode of Netheads.
That was really
And
cool.
the moment he said that, I'm two things. One, I'm like, oh, that was incredibly nice. Unfortunately, the bigger feeling was in my head is, oh, I can use this in that very moment. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But yes, look, man, it's a different experience there. It's a
Mhm.
different experience here. Everything is what it is. Honestly speaking, I push limits with you here because it's your show and I'm messing with you, which is
Oh,
the
yeah.
problem, because honestly speaking, I know that I could potentially get you to sit there like that for the next 20 minutes because I won't back down and I'll just keep talking. Granted, you have all the power, but you're also incredibly polite. Incredibly polite. But the other thing too is, look, don't think of it that way. It's not a Tony moment. And you shouldn't think about talking to me in that way because we are, look, except for one random circumstance or two, we're the same person, bro. You just didn't have the benefit of wacky robots to get you more followers. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
again, regardless,
so
I'm okay with that.
yeah, but I'm bummed to hear you think about it that way. So I hope you
No, but
free yourself of that.
yeah, it's going to take a while. And I think that's the thing, but I don't let it. If you've been on my social media, I've made some videos recently and even in the past talking about, just being happy within your own skin. Don't let people, steal your joy, because I've had those experiences. I've
Yeah.
been in situations where people have completely derailed what I thought was my happiness. And I've learned to not let that happen anymore. But it's okay. Even if you don't feel confident enough or you don't feel like you're the strongest public speaker, just do it anyway. You're
Yeah,
going to
man.
do one of two things. You're going to discover that you're going to, really be good at it, or two, you're going to be, you know, bad at it, but you're going to have fun doing it. And I did that on purpose the way I did it.
Well, and that's the
But
other thing too that I'm sorry to hear that there are multiple versions that you shoot before you finally get a video. Because I swear to
oh
God, man,
yeah,
I just like honestly, I'll get the take I want and I just move on. I move
that's
on
good for
from the
you. That's
moment.
great.
I've got it all
Ever since,
storyboarded in my head, and I'm like, as long as I've cut myself off, taking away that little click right before I open my mouth, whatever it is,
yep.
I'm happy with it. So
No, and it's terrible because, like, honestly, like, I'll do a video, I'll do a take, and it will be a perfect take, and then I'll notice that there was something in my beard. It's over. I have to go back and do the whole thing. Or I do a great take and I completely miss the fact that I mispronounced the name. And then my video does really well because everybody's in the comments correcting me that I didn't say Don Cheadle. I said Don Chittle. So
by the way, I didn't do this on purpose, okay? But if saying something wrong will trigger people and get more I haven't looked at the videos since I posted them. I don't know how anything is doing anywhere.
mhm.
I don't care because honestly speaking, again, in that audience, remember, I'm the person nobody gives a goddamn about. So my prediction for tonight, big
Mhm.
episode 400. I mean, I've teed up all the hosts, right? I've
Yeah.
actually done something to promote the episode. Maybe 2 or 3 more viewers. Maybe,
Hey,
maybe,
hey, you never know.
maybe. Moving on.
Yes. So moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the topics for this evening so
Now
we
that
can
half
get
the
back on.
show's
I'll throw
over.
that back. I'll throw that back up later on.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But this episode is episode 004. Of course, we've been doing this for a good long while. If you want to see other Fandoms episodes before we moved over to It's Fanbox, you can check them out on the Nerd Initiative Network. But we're talking about disinformation, delays, and dinos, and specifically those because I like alliteration, especially when doing a title. Mind you, I didn't really do much when it came to setting up the cover for this. I mean, it's just us upside down because why
Mhm.
not? And it's funny though because I posted the picture on social media, and adding Billie Eilish's bad guy got me more views on that image. So thank
Could
you,
I
Billy.
also could I also officially request that the subtitle, because obviously great alliteration, but the
Mhm.
subtitle for this one should be the Quattro.
The Quattro.
Yeah,
The
because it's
Quattro.
the fourth one. I mean, hell, whether you're
Yeah.
celebrating 400 or 4 episodes,
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we're
let's
just
make it
we're just
let's make it a
reversed.
little special. It's
So
subheading. That little asterisk on the end of the title's thunderbolts, if you will, is just
yeah.
the Quattro.
Yeah, because let's face it, 400 backwards is 004.
There you go.
Tony
Boom.
backwards is why not? Let's go for
It's
it. Okay.
the order I'm doing it tonight is a palindrome.
Yeah. So we're talking about disinformation, delays, and dinosaurs just because I wanted to say it again. But we're going to go ahead and start with something that Some people would say they're having a chip on their shoulder. Will happens to have a Grogu on his shoulder because this specific one is talking about Star Wars rumors that got a little bit out of hand this week. Specifically, a little bit.
Like, realistically speaking, of all the things I wouldn't have expected to become such a that would become such a thing would be this. Because
Yeah.
And all I look again, I've had a life this week, so I haven't been paying attention at all. I don't know what kind of traction it got. I don't know about sources or anything else. It's just been a headline world for me. So sitting on the outside, not having lived it, I would say that my expectation going into it is that I would find out that this was information that was given by an ordinarily semi, if not pretty accurate, social media sharing person. Referenced it. And that's why it blew up.
I don't even know if it's that. Whoever reported it first, I kind of feel like if they would have done like the source, it would have been just like, trust me, bro. And that is Kathleen Kennedy was rumored to be deciding to step down from Lucasfilm at the end of this year. That it was told, and here's the thing, like it's kind of wild where this story came from, and I don't know if you knew much of it. Obviously you said you didn't, but basically they're saying that she told her friends and family, and she told like people, some specific people in Lucasfilm, that she had planned to step down. Now, there had been a rumor, I guess, before about her stepping down at the end of last year, which obviously didn't come to
I feel
fruition.
like that rumor has been happening every year since 22.
I will be honest with you. I personally think it's people just trying to will it into existence. No pun intended. But it's literally the toxic bros, the toxic fans within the Star Wars universe, because they exist, and they're complaining about things that they don't necessarily like about the Star Wars universe, specifically the sequel trilogy. And I've even heard some people talking some crap about The Mandalorian, which you keep Grogu's your name out of your mouth.
To his face.
Exactly. Like,
to his face.
Don't go there. But they blame her for everything. And honestly, if you look at, we have got we're going to talk about Marvel in a minute too. We have got a group of people who just want to complain, and they have unrealistic expectations, and they don't remember that media is not always for everyone, and it's not going to always be liked by everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing that you take a source material and you go something completely drastically different. I would say, like the movie Aragon, based off of the book. I have the book over here. I've read the book. I watched the movie. I own the movie. I don't know why, but it's a terrible adaptation to the book. It's not faithful. It's not even good in the sense of it's a very like paint by numbers. I would even say it could have been lower budget than Princess Bride, and Princess Bride had great content. Princess Bride had great gravitas.
God, and man, so that Aragon movie is just that is the thorn in your side. The number of times I've heard Aragon, like it coming out of your mouth in the last 3 years is more than I would have expected anyone to say in a lifetime.
It will never stop. Listen, as long as the books are still being made, and there was a sequel that came out last year.
Yeah.
I will always have that in the top of my head, because I do absolutely love the Aragon series or the Inheritance series.
Book.
I haven't gotten to the last book yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
did you just read the new book?
Oh, no, not the new one.
No, there's a new book.
New?
New.
Oh, here we go again. No, don't start this.
Yeah. So again, it's just toxic fans being toxic.
Yeah, because right before the show started, I saw in an article, obviously she now has to go on the PR tour, because I saw that she had a sit-down interview and she said, "No, I'm not leaving."
Yeah.
So it's just incredibly awkward. But look, nobody would care if we, and I'm not trying to get controversial about Star Wars, but I don't think people would be so critical if we had a better transition from Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker. Okay.
Yeah.
And because tonally I know that The Last Jedi is like, that really splits the fandom. It really, really does. Because there are people that either love it or they hate it. You know, I was okay with The Force Awakens. I'm one of those people that really dug what they did in The Last Jedi. Okay. I liked it. So getting from that it was such a harsh tonal shift in Rise of Skywalker. And maybe if the final 3 had done better overall, because it seemed like it was a fading fandom by the time you got to the end of the journey there. You know, those 2 things I think are why people will constantly be detractors of her. But you know what, y'all, you're not going to get a chance to do a better job. So unless you're already out there fighting for it.
I mean, let's face it, we complain about screws and bolts and wheels on, you know, vehicles. You know, that's a little bit much. Yes, there was thirst traps in Acolyte, but I enjoyed the show. And let's also remember, Bad Batch and Skeleton Crew are really good, solid shows. And not to mention, Grogu has been a sensation through the Mandalorian series. And it's sad because here's the thing that kind of surprised me out of the whole thing. People were celebrating her stepping down, and they were using the phrase "this is a way," which is a phrase that was created through a production that she was involved in.
Yeah, I gotta get.
So obviously they liked it enough to use the phrase, but they're going to blame her for everything else. It's just my opinion. But regardless, you know, people are never going to be happy. I wish Kathleen Kennedy the best. I hope that she continues to make great stuff, and it can only get better, or it can only get worse. It can only get mediocre. We don't know what it's going to be. Some of it's going to fit for us. Some of it's not. And it's okay if not every piece of media is a banger for, you know, for me. As there are things that my kid has watched that I like. I grew up loving Scooby-Doo and Sonic the Hedgehog or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And there are times where he wants to watch something and I'm like, you know, I'm really not interested in it. That Ninja Turtles isn't for me. It's not me crapping on it because it's a bad story. It's me going, you know, that wasn't made with me in mind. I'm okay with my son being that target audience. I'll enjoy it. And that's what Star Wars was. It's always the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and even the sequel trilogy. They were all made for different generations, and it reflects that. And it's okay if it doesn't work for me.
No, look, the whole thing is, man, we're older, but these are kids' movies. Ever since the first action figure was sold and they went, oh my gosh, it's always been about selling toys. So that means it's always going to be a kids market. And guess what? The problem is you got older, and that's that.
Yeah. And it's okay to grow up and grow out of things.
Yeah, man. Because let me tell you something. The original Flash Gordon movie, I thought that was it, son. I thought it was like legit. And I couldn't wait for the next one. And boy, oh boy, if I watch that movie now, I'm just like, oh, I was so dumb. I was so dumb.
I grew up absolutely loving the Howard the Duck movie.
Ah, there you go, man. See, I really liked Howard the Duck too.
One, I never watched it on rental, so I did not know that there were certain inappropriate things that a duck could have in that movie. And then also all of the innuendo just went over my head. I could sit down and watch it. I'm thinking my 10-year-old will never watch this movie until he's old enough. Like it's that kind of thing. And people talk about, you know, people being furries. There are people being feathers, I would say, in a sense, because that movie did a lot of things and ruined what was it, Marty McFly's mom for me in a lot of ways. So regardless, like you can grow out of things, and there are things that you will find that you loved at one time and you cannot go back and watch again because you overdid it, and that's okay.
But interestingly enough, God bless James Gunn again, because every single time, you know, thankfully in a post-credit sequence, he got Howard the Duck thrown in. And from that moment on, all we're doing is looking forward to seeing Howard the Duck again. Honestly, like right down to the point where I was mad that on my first viewing of Endgame, I didn't see him like to the wasp.
Oh, in the
all right. And all of the people coming to fight.
Yeah, I could see that. No,
see. I can't talk about that scene still. It still has the impact on me when everybody starts showing up, and then everybody is fighting to try and literally save the universe.
yeah.
Oh, I never thought I would see such a thing on screen.
Now
Never.
that's a great segue into the next part of this because
You're welcome.
yes, you
Print
got
the
the show
check.
notes. The money will be under the table later. So a part of it with disinformation has also been a little bit of complaining and arguing about the success of the MCU moving forward and with Marvel in general. And one of the biggest voices right now that is voicing dissent is the none other than Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, man.
And this is a comic book, artist, creator who kind of got Deadpool to be who he is. Now to give an understanding, if you guys don't know the context of this, basically Rob Liefeld, Deadpool existed before. Yeah. He can't draw feet and he draws like barrel chested heroes. Like I would never want him to do a portrait of me because it would be worse than I am already. So like he's the guy who gave Deadpool kind of the demeanor and the look that he has today and has been a big proponent for like the Deadpool movies and everything else. Supposedly in July, when they did the premiere of the movie, he had already been arguing kind of back and forth with his publicity crew to kind of try to get Marvel to have him at the beginning of the credits, at the beginning of the film, instead of giving him the credit at the end. That did not go well, from what I understand. And then in the midst of this, I let's face it, like Liefeld's Just Feet, that was I thought was a really good nod. But again, Marvel doesn't have the best track record with recognizing their creators and or paying them and reimbursing them for the work that they put in. But that's also the model that has occurred, and we can talk about it at a different time or later on if necessary. But he complained, it didn't go well. And then when it came to the after party at the premiere, he was not on the list. And he took that as a big jab, a slap in the face to intentionally embarrass him, almost like retaliation from the request of, adding himself to the front of the credits. And whether that was the case, he's also been very vocal lately about Marvel and Kevin Feige specifically, saying that basically he spent, get him off the mound, and even like complaining about Captain America Brave New World, which he keeps referring to as New World Order. And I don't know if he's just having like a moment, but he's severed ties with Marvel. And honestly, I'm going to say this. The last time he severed ties with Marvel, it wasn't a bad thing. Not because Marvel didn't need him, but because him and a number of individuals like McFarlane went and created Image Comics. And Image Comics is doing some of the best stuff. And they're a company that allows the creators to own their properties, and which is very good. So could this end up being a good thing? Yes, but the constant criticism and the way he's kind of like going at Feige makes me feel like there's more bitterness there, and I could understand that. But again, it's like hating on Captain America, and it's done fairly well. It did a very good opening box office. It did drop 68% the second week, which is kind of normal now. But I think that speaks more to post-pandemic movie viewing than it does for anything else.
That's true. Because I have not gone back to see this one in the theater again. But, I already went over the story of why I used to have a 2 viewing precedent every weekend, which is great because it really does give you a chance to revisit what you watched now that you're not pondering the story. You're able to relax and enjoy the movie and catch other things kind of situation. And I have not done that. But in general, I don't do that. I see something once and then I'm like, that was great. Now I can't wait to just see it at home.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Because I also feel like I think movies that are good but don't get a good reception also have another thing going against them. And it speaks more to our current media climate as well, in the fact that if you didn't do well in the box office, you could still make enough money to predicate getting a sequel, or, at least considering yourself a success in the home video sales. And with streaming services and rentals where there's really not that opportunity to really see people purchasing the physical media, they're not getting that money that they would. There are movies that even at the advent of like digital copies coming in and stuff where people started sharing, and of course Blockbuster kind of went out of business, and you have like only the Netflix and the streaming services, things like the remake or the reboot of A-Team with Liam Neeson, which did really well, but did not do well financially to predicate a sequel. There are movies that could have really benefited from that movie thing. And I'll be honest with you, we're now a society where we can barely afford the streaming services, so we definitely can't afford the physical copies. And even recently, Charlie Cox was doing an interview, and he noticed that the interviewer had Blu-ray discs and DVDs behind him, and he's like, how many do you have? And the guy's like, I have over 2,000. He's like, yeah, I have 1,000. And he's like, really? Do you watch them? He's like, well, first of all, I took them out of the cases and put them in sleeves. He's like, I hate the fact that I did that. I'm thinking, oh man, Charlie. But then at the same time, he's like, but I don't really pull out the discs, because if I have to go find the movie,
yeah,
but the rental is really cheap, like the price of a cup of coffee, I'm just going to rent it.
Well, good for him. I'm not throwing down. I'm not throwing down that Daredevil money, I'll tell you. But I understand though, because like Tony, there is still a box in my garage of all of my DVDs and of almost all of my DVDs and Blu-rays, because I'm like, what the heck do I do with these? Because I don't want to get rid of them. Some of them are 4Ks that now I could play in my PS5.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, but I'm also like, I can't get rid of the box. I just can't do that. I'm not putting it into sleeves. I'm not putting it into a binder that I'm going to constantly have to flip through, manage, and shift if I get a new title that's further up in the alphabet. I mean,
true.
Look, man, now you've given me anxiety about this. I hope you're happy.
See, I have.
Oh, but also, I think
go ahead.
I was just going to. Sorry, I think in Liefeld's defense, I think he was having a jab at them because the first title of Captain America was New World Order. So I think he just kept saying that because that's what the original title was. So it's like poking him with a stick about it.
It's possible. It's very possible. Now, which is funny though, because let's also say this: Rob Liefeld is not. He's not a stranger to Marvel premieres. When I went to the Volume 3 premiere, he was there. Like I got a picture with him. He was there. Did he need to be there? No, but he was there. Like he had the opportunity to be there. I don't know. I think there's more to the story. But again, I will say this: Marvel does not compensate their creators as they should. There should be. There's one creator for, I think it was Winter Soldier, that said he made more money in the residuals from a cameo in Winter Soldier than he ever did for the work that he made to create the storyline that was kind of based off of that. So, it is what it is. But I have all of my Blu-rays. I've got a ton of them over here on a wall that you could never really see because I never have my camera pointed that way. And I literally have 1, 2, 3 of those old open up DVD cabinets still.
Yeah.
And
that's why those guys because you used to see them all the time doing lives on TikTok where they basically just have put DVD shelves into a closet and they are, it just lined the entire wall. And that would be the thing. Like the only thing I could do would be like, just, okay, guys, guess what? Behind me, instead of all of this fancy, man-child crap, I'm just going to have DVDs because that's probably the only wall I could get away doing in the house. But anyway, sorry, Liefeld.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
So disinformation delays. The big delay that we really I wanted to talk about tonight, because it keeps popping up, because every time I see a post about this, the delay is farther and farther away. And I did not mean to rhyme that, but I'll take it. Beyond the Spider-Verse was scheduled at one point to be released in 2025. Everyone was excited, especially after Across the Spider-Verse. 2 years, that's a long way to get to the sequel, but okay, we'll find out what happens to Miles in this other universe. But then we had a little bit of weirdness with Shamika Moore. and Haley Steinfeld. There's been some complaints about the animators being pushed to limits. There was rumors last month of Shamika not even being called in to do his lines yet, which was an omen for things to come. And so literally I was looking on social media and one day it said Beyond the Spider-Verse is delayed to 2026. Then it said 2027. Then it said 2028. And officially, until I look at my phone again, the last time it's been delayed to, I guess, the summer of 2029. And that's a long time to wait.
Didn't they already have like a near finished film that got scrapped?
Yeah, I think what was said was there were some test screenings that did not go well, and so they went back to the drawing board for some of it. And yeah, I think it's pushing the limits on a lot of people.
I mean, they have really, if you think about it, story wise, which one was it? What was the name of the last one?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse sets up very grim circumstances to be continuing a story when your hero is both in the clutches of the bad guys and also all of the perceived good guys are after him as well. So that's a tough story point to be coming in on. And so maybe that's that, or it's a bummer though, because really those two movies bring me, well, the first one more than the second one, but that first one just brings me so much joy because you watch it and it's more of a love letter from animators to other animators with all of the fun they got to do, putting Stan Lee all over the place, as well as, everybody knows, Bagel. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing. I think the first movie especially resonated. The second one was good for me, but it would never top the first one, in my opinion. So for me, I'm hoping that when we finally get to it, it won't be a wait that was not worth it. I'm hoping that if they needed to do these reshoots or reanimating, that it was for good reason. And I really hope that certain people can stop being creepy enough to let us just have like a good it's not a good year for voice acting Spider-Man. I'm just gonna say it.
It's just not a good year.
It's like
it is not a good year.
You want to tell the voice like, anybody just keep your mouth shut.
What we need
say the lines.
We need every person that's capable of smudging, which is the action of burning, I think, sage or something in order to, cleanse an area. We need all of you to coordinate just a massive smudge across America, if you will. But this smudge across the world. We need everything cleansed. I'm living for a prayer, Tony. I guess that's my point. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I will agree. Something I wasn't thinking about bringing up, but it just kind of like stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
Did you see the promo for the Shrek 5 movie?
You know what? What's funny is that I never see things the way they intend them to be seen now.
Yeah, I see them
I finally saw it. Exactly. I saw it because and I drop his name so much between our two shows. People are going to think I'm clout chasing, but honestly, Juju, Strawhead Goofy was doing a reaction to it. So that's how I saw it. Because it's just like, oh, that happened. Oh, well, I guess it's happening right now. All right, well, sure, let's watch this together. And it's interesting enough, just like, the big mic drop of Zendaya, great guys, and they're getting the original cast back because
and of course the aging process, they're using a new animating processor, so things are going to look different. But I feel like off of a teaser, like I'm gonna be very honest with you, something tells me that this was intentional, and if I'm right, we'll clip this. I'll put it in. I'm like, you need to watch Fanbox, because when I say something, when I'm right, I'm right. I'm just saying this right now, Will, just so remember this moment. I bet you that this movie is going to have something to do with the Fountain of Youth. Because I think they intentionally made it jarring how they look old. And with a daughter, I think it's going to be them being their younger selves and them dealing with the daughter, trying to understand the daughter and what she's going through. I think it's going to be one of those coming of age stories where the parents, it's kind of like a Freaky Friday, but not a Freaky Friday. It's going to be a Fountain of Youth thing where they all become younger. I'm just saying it.
I need you to go back historically.
I need you to, Will.
Through all your media, and I need you to do pull quotes of your predictions. Then I need you to sit through them and determine the ones that have been proven right, proven wrong, still in flight. And for all of the proven right ones, what you need to do is start building your "see, I'm right" reel. So that way, when you say something like when I make a prediction and then you just hit the button and it's that quick, just quick 30-second blurb at most of each one that you're successful, and then you come back from it and like, see, so listen now.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's really all fine and dandy, Will. But do you think I didn't do my homework in high school? Do you think I'm gonna do my homework now? I'm just gonna say it. Listen, you talk about me not having robots to be like the hundreds of thousands of followers. I'll tell you what it was. It's me not wanting to do the work to make higher quality content. Let
me tell you something.
Low impact, buddy. Low impact.
As long as I completely agree, and as long as I am shouting out things, I want to shout out my good old friend Rebel Stoked Jim. He was the one who was host of definitely not the CBC on Play TV, and like he would put in a lot of effort to add visual effects because it was a visual medium we were doing it, like wonderful animations and stuff, really pushing the limits of what you could do with it. And they were great, and he would get to reuse them. But that's like a lot of work that if it doesn't work, you're not going to be reusing it. And it was in those moments I realized how lazy I was. Case in point, going to be Netheads episode 400, right? The maximum amount I could be bothered to try and make something special for it was to print out gold 400 for the thumbnail and for that. I was almost considering at one point seeing if I could get like a pair of glasses that were like 400, or what if I did a headpiece where it was like 4, my head, and another 0. And it all boils down to that's a lot of work for one gag. Just too much. Yeah. Like I said, the 3D printer can just sit there and print all it wants, and then I can have a fancy 400 behind me for the show. Wonderful. Yeah. That's the max I could go in on it, though.
Like I'll tell you right now, my Photoshop file for this show's event design or event card is literally, it has every single background that I've done for every single like layer card since I started doing this. I can go back and I just have, because what I do is I just throw the image that I want on and I just hide all the rest. So like my layer list is super long.
Well, just don't forget you can also build a group and you can just be like previous ones, and that way you can drop it in there, collapse it, and you don't have to see them. But I'm the same way. Actually, I recently
I could
purged
just
in my
templates.
Just
put them on the bottom. Yeah.
I recently purged the history in some of mine, and I actually had regrets and needs afterwards. But
no regrets.
I mean, this I swear, man, it's like last week I spent the time to find a good picture of Spider-Man and Anthony Mackie and put him in there, layer in. I got a slate of just this space without me in it so I could put anything I wanted over it. I did all that work, right? So what did I do for this week's? Those same numbers I mentioned, I just put them up here and I took a picture. Boy, don't wear yourself out there, buddy.
No,
don't wear yourself out.
Yep.
I spent more time trying to decide what color the words with all 3 netheads would be than I did anything else in that picture.
That's what happens. Hyperfixation at its best. And I feel like at that point, it's okay to be low impact for the rest.
Although I got a quick shout out, by the way, to also all the people that are professional content creators. Okay. Because I had to do just some quick, an intro and outro, and then that same Fat Man Beyond clip we mentioned about. That was the majority of producing for this, right? But I had to do one for TikTok, because I could call out Mark and Kevin's handles, I had to do one that was just their names that I could use everywhere else and not worry about them being tagged. And then I had to do a third one that was less than 1 minute for Reels on Instagram. And it's just like, oh my God, this is a ridiculous amount of work for no good reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially when we're not making money off of
Yeah,
this.
that's way too much effort. Thank goodness I quickly thought of this, anticipated it, and when I locked in the edit, then I just copied the timeline, made the modifications for YouTube, made the modifications for IG.
The effort and money that we have put into something that doesn't pay off is amazing. Listen, we are sitting here looking at each other through an Elgato prompter.
Yeah.
That is never going to pay for itself.
No.
And we're looking at it in the smallest screen. Will, you have a giant screen under your prompter. I have 3 24-inch monitors that I could be looking at doing this show, but I'm looking at a little monitor because I want to look directly at you. So you guys who are watching are seeing this and thinking that I'm actually looking right at you.
Exactly. But no, but like to me, but okay, but look, man, look, you say it that way, but I switch it to the other side. It's not about using it to get paid. It's not about paying it for itself. It's that I care about being able to have a good experience and people also having a good experience. Because right now I get to look at you, I get to talk to you. Everyone feels like I'm engaging with them and I'm staring at them. That is a win-win-win because it's giving me a great experience. It's giving you a great experience. It's giving them a great experience, which is all you could ask for in that 3-way relationship we have with the viewers when it's just you and I doing this.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But I also wanted to point out too that we put all this time, effort, and money into these things, and there are other people with millions of followers raking in tons of cash, and all they do is just right there in their phone. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
It's like, gosh darn it.
Well, speaking of using lots of money to pay, get to do something that doesn't always pay off. Let's talk about the Jurassic Park franchise a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? They're going to be Universal's just going to be dropping that Jurassic World quan on us for all this talk.
Well,
yeah,
so
I can feel it. I can feel it.
So here's the thing. Of course,
send it home, Tony.
Yeah. So I grew up a big Jurassic Park fan. I did an article on his fan box about it.
Preach.
Okay. Like you're throwing me off, man. I'm sitting here like, what? Where am I in church again? But seriously, like. A big Jurassic Park fan, wrote an article just recently about this new movie that's coming out, Jurassic World Rebirth. Honestly, I am very cautiously optimistic about this film, not just because ScarJo's in it. Like I like ScarJo and what she's been able to do, Scarlett Johansson. She's a great actress and as well as does really well with action and has good humor, but can still be serious. Cause I feel like she was kind of the straight comedy in the Avengers series. Like she could make those, those jokes that were very, what?
I don't see how that's a party.
Oh yeah, exactly.
From the original Avengers, and she just sells it so well.
Oh, by the way, Mickey, we're staring right at you. It's all about you, buddy. You and the toys that are behind you if you're watching in your room. That's all I'm saying. No, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this film. One of the things that I was really excited about with what are you doing now?
I'm staring at
I have OCD and Tourette's. Anytime you do something that's going to catch my attention, listen, I used to work with kids, and there was one kid that would make me twitch to the point where I couldn't speak. And all he had to do was like mess with a chair. You sitting there staring at me like that is going to ruin my day. So just we'll be one of those things that's like, and of course I don't have the fun type of Tourette's. You'll all be sitting here and see me do this, and I can't speak. So it'll definitely be less interesting than what you see with people with Tourette's.
Final moments of this show, and then you look forward to the next episode of Fandoms with your new co-host, not Will Wilkins,
where I can just sit here and go. Regardless, let's get into Jurassic World. Let's talk about this real quick. So, a lot of people realize there's only ever been 2 books written by Michael Crichton regarding the Jurassic World or the Jurassic Park world. It was Jurassic Park and Lost World Jurassic Park. And both books did take a lot of creative liberties, not to the extent of Aragon, so I could say it again. But I would say it was more like Ready Player One in the sense of both of them are completely different, but both of them were actually good and successful. And so one of the things that I felt like the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World stories have always struggled with is the fact that there wasn't really a base source material. They, since Jurassic Park 3, were kind of writing things to write things. And so it didn't always have the same cohesiveness as the original two, because they could at least go back and say, okay, we're trying to come up with some stuff. Let's look at the source material. With Rebirth, we're getting away from the cast that we've had before, which I think is a good thing. Let Chris Pratt continue doing Mario and whatever else he wants to do. But we've got, Scarlett Johansson, we've got Marshall Ali, we have a number of actors that are coming in that have really good acting chops. And then on top of that, they're bringing back one of the writers for the original Jurassic Park movie. And one of the things that they have been doing is they've been with the teaser trailer that they did, there are scenes that look very, very similar to storylines in the original book that were never touched on. Specifically, the river. I was going to say
in the Avery.
The Avery. They kind of touched on the Avery in Jurassic Park 3, but not in a good way. Yeah. Like I wanted those pterodons to just tear that kid up.
Well, I do like the idea that they're setting forth, because it also does kind of give us that whole, Isla Nublar, God, I forgot the name of the other
Isla Nublar, Isla Sorna.
And yeah. Then, so now it's like, it's almost kind of like they're acknowledging those two things existed, and now we've got this development island where, well, these are the screw ups. Not sure what we do.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities. The Lost World Jurassic Park book had carnosaurs that had the ability to camouflage themselves, and they were basically like chameleons, and they looked more like chameleons, especially with their eyes. And so they were really insidious looking creatures. Jurassic Park had touched on the idea of dinosaurs going on the mainland. And so you could tell that they took things like, okay, the Lost World Jurassic Park movie, that opening scene with the little girl attacked by the compies, that was in Jurassic Park. That wasn't in the Lost World. But it's okay. They were taking bits and pieces. So if we get some references to things that happened in the books, because there's a lot of really cool things, the juvenile T-Rex, the riverboat, the aviary, all those things. And then we're going to get more different dinosaurs and maybe mutations of dinosaurs. I'm okay with that. I feel like they kind of lost their way when it came to making more dinosaurs that were basically engineered to be more monster than dinosaur. So,
look, man, it's not a bad formula, and it's not a hard one to follow. You go there, you try and stuck. Do a thing, something goes south, you determine you now have to get way the hell over there, and then it's travel, scare, travel, scare, travel, scare,
eat.
Yeah. So, it's look, you just stick with the formula. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, I feel like even Jurassic World, even though the park went awry, I didn't feel like the stakes were as bad, because you had people flying in while the park is going to crap. Like, it just didn't feel like it had the same stakes. And I feel like the small group going in, them running into a family that has also been stranded on the island, and then them all trying to like struggle to survive off of something that should have been very routine. That's like the recipe right there. Secret sauce. Like, let's investigate, see if the park is viable. Oh, everything goes awry. Hey, let's go catalog the dinosaurs so that we can, use it as a nature reserve. Oh no, there's guys coming in to poach, and we're going to mess them up and in turn mess ourselves up. It's the recipe. It's the secret sauce. Just stick with the secret sauce. That's all I'm going to say. And so I'm very excited about Rebirth, because I think it could be a return to form, and I think it can do really well, but I'm still cautious. Still very cautious.
Fair enough.
So
I'll allow it. Look, the teaser was good enough. I'm in. I'm in. Okay. And anything to help us recover from some of the past imagery, like the dinosaur screaming in the lava, and the T-Rex with the leash in the doghouse hanging from, or the chain in the doghouse hanging from its mouth. get those things out of our head. Just bring us back to good island terrifying dinosaurs.
And hopefully this family, that whichever family is going to be stuck on Site C, they hope they're nothing like the Kirby's. I'm just going to say it. Jurassic Park 3 was a heaping pile of where you found the satellite phone. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So with that said, I've also watched it way too many times. I don't know. I was, you talk about, vying for attention. I was wanting to see dinosaurs, and I had just gotten my first surround sound system. So I'd watched that movie way too many times. And if I ever hear that Nokia sound, I will gouge my ears with a, I don't know what.
Dude, I totally get it, because when you find any of those movies where they do good things with sound so that it's bouncing all around the room, it's great. There is an episode of The Good Place, second season. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where they get roasted because like the whole jig is up, and then they're supposed to be shutting down the neighborhood the next day. And in it, there is a scene where a drunk Janet is going around her void trying to find her Derek. You got to really watch the whole show.
Sure.
But you literally hear her jumping from front left to rear right, rear left, front right. She moves all around the room, and I'm like, this is the best surrounded sound experience I've had in so long.
Yeah.
So you got to love a good sound mix.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, like, going back, my favorite movie is not even, of course, I love Jurassic Park. My favorite version is not even a 4K version. It is the Jurassic Park 3D version that they did. I have a 3D projector. I've watched it in 3D. Not only do they master to where the rain feels layered and it's got super depth, the audio surrounds you in a way that the original, when you watch it on Blu-ray or DVD, couldn't. And so I love and appreciate that so much. And there are certain movies where when you have to turn and look to see if something's actually there, that's been a good movie, that they've done good with the audio mixing. And unfortunately, that Nokia sound, no bueno, man. No bueno.
I hear it in my brain right now.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. We're almost at the hour. Because you got some things you still got to do. But let me go ahead and say this go ahead.
In 57 minutes and 20 seconds right now.
Yeah. So a couple things we want to just some like legitimate, I guess some clerical administrative stuff. Just remember, if you are watching this and you've enjoyed this, how could you not? Check out itsfanbox.com. Check out the articles that are there. We're going to be having other people coming in, writing articles, reviews. There's actually a review on there right now about the movie Riff Raff that just came out today, which has Ed Harris and Bill Murray and Jennifer Coolidge. And honestly, she does a great job, except the only problem that I have with her is she doesn't say that she wants a hot dog real bad. Yeah. But that's okay. But she does have some very Jennifer Coolidge moments in the movie. Also, you can check us out on Sunday, because Sunday is our fun day, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific time, or as Johnny likes to call it, Hollywood time. We will be doing our next episode of TARDIS Talk. We are on our 5th episode, which is actually the 6th episode of the series, because we did episodes 4 and 5 together last week. We're doing the episode from the 2005 series with Christopher Eccleston, called Dalek, that aired on April 30th, 2005. So go and be sure to watch that. Also, you can catch TARDIS Talks, this show, Fandoms podcast, as well as the show that we did this last fall for Agatha All Along, anywhere you get audio podcasts. So be sure to check that out. We'd love to have you check those things out. And of course, do not forget, in just under an hour, we're going to be on Netheads, on the Netheads YouTube channel, or you can go to smodcast.com and you can watch this show. The 400th episode, I'm going to finally get to meet Trent, which I'm super excited about. And don't worry, Will, I will remember.
Good. You've got them. All right. Yes. Excellent.
Yes.
Actually, I'm just worried if tinted lenses makes you come off as like an arrogant prick, when you're first meeting somebody. So come in. What I'm saying is come in cold, right? And then just say, okay, well, wait, hold on. I realize in Will's grooming habits, there's one thing I'm missing, and then put on the glasses.
I have a pair of lensless 3D glasses in my drawer here. I'll just pull those out.
Too.
That way I can do that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But with that said, I'm Tony. This has been Will. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back in 2 weeks ish, probably, most likely, maybe, hopefully. But thank you so much for joining us. And again, check out itsfanbox.com. Have a good night.
Night.